Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, welcome back to the channel, and I guess welcome back to Kyoto, the full version. I think it's been 3 years apparently since we had this race. So I really like this track. I think even if you don't particularly like this track, even if it's not your cup of tea, the very fact that Polyphony Digital have used one of the very tracks that simply wasn't being used, we've got to see as a good thing. Personally, I think this is a great track. Miyabi on its own doesn't really do much for me. I like Yamagiwa, but putting the two of them together into the full Kyoto track, yeah, this is a track we need to see in the rotation a little bit more. It's a great track, good racing, fun racing. Do wish it wasn't custom slip. But there we go, that's what it is. Otherwise, the race is a good race. So, heading up the hill here, I had a really good start and a really good turn 1. Unfortunately, I banged the rev limiter shifting from 4th to 5th, and that's why you see Zimmermann already starting to pull away due to the custom slip. This missed gear shift has a surprisingly large effect on the beginning of this race for me. So, something as simple as that means that you drop outside the magic 4/10th window, and I'm now pushing to try and stay in touch with 3 guys that are basically faster than me. So yeah, not in an ideal situation. Put myself on the back foot a little bit. Wasn't sure if I was about to get hit into that turn there as well, so I actually had to get off the brake a little bit and let the car roll deeper into the corner because I wasn't sure if I was about to get hit. I'm sure you might have been hit in that corner this week. I certainly have. So these two things sort of put me on a little bit of a back foot, and what it means is that I'm already pushing to catch up, because if these guys don't make any mistakes and I make even just one more mistake, they're going to drop me, and then I'm going to be the lead car in a pack, which I don't want to be, because that makes you a sitting duck and you are definitely going to get sent by quite aggressive drivers. So all of that led to that moment there where I made an awful mistake and almost took out a World Tour driver. But notice what I do. I back off, I let him take his position. Haug behind me does the same thing. He doesn't try to take advantage of it. This is what happens when mature, cool heads prevail. When people don't get flustered, don't get overly ambitious. We just settle back down, the 3 of us. Let Zimmermann get into his groove. Haug let me get into my groove. No harm done, no damage. Everyone carries on. That's how I think these incidents should be handled. The ability to recognise when something was an accident, and also not being overly ambitious in trying to make a place because of that. So yeah, I think Haug did the right thing there in just allowing me to get back into my flow as well. As always, you don't want to fight too much in the early stages, because then you will lose touch with the leaders, and I think Haug recognised that, so yeah, I do appreciate that. I'm not 100% sure who are Haug behind it, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah, I'm going to go with Haug at the moment. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure who that is, but he has turned out to be this week someone that I've had a few races with and has been impeccably clean and intelligent in his racecraft and his decision making. So always a pleasure to be able to say that yet again on one of my videos about other drivers at this level. And you'll see that again later in this race, where Haug's decision making definitely is of benefit to both of us. So pushing hard to stay with Zimmermann in front of me, a World Tour driver. Still don't find it easy to stay with these guys. They are just insanely quick, the World Tour drivers, but as long as I don't make any mistakes, even small ones, then yeah, I can do it. Particularly with the custom slip, it is possible. I still would prefer we didn't have custom slip, even if I meant I couldn't stay with these guys. I just really don't like the way custom slip works. It does not promote clean driving standards, and you're going to see that later in this video. So still pushing hard to try and stay with these guys. You can see that the 4 of us have spaced out a little bit. Lewis has very slightly lost the exhaust pipes of Damien. Damien, of course, amazing driver. I tried to stay with him at Deep Forest, was it last week or the week before, I can't remember. Managed to stay with him for the first half of the race, and then in the second half of the race I just made like 2 mistakes in fairly quick order and he was just gone. So yeah, it's not easy to stay with these guys. Looking behind us now, you can see that we've got DD behind us. Now, I'm just going to be completely candid with you guys, but I'm going to try and be tactful about it, okay? Try and show some respect and tactfulness in the way that I say this. If you've been an A or a low A+ driver racing in top split, you have almost certainly been pushed aside by the fast alien starting from the back. And if I'm completely honest with you, DD is about the most aggressive driver I ever came across that did that to me. So these weren't just gentle nudges and taps, these were fully sending me into the wall in order to get past me. Now, for that reason, DD is a driver that I am wary of, okay? So knowing that he's right behind me now, knowing that I'm much closer to his level, I am definitely wary of him. Now, switching to a cutscene here, we are following Lewis here, obviously incredibly fast driver. Gets a couple of wheels on the grass there, and it's very often one mistake leads to another. Kyoto, the curbs are very punishing when you get them wrong. He gets that curb wrong too, gets a bit of a tank slapper going on, and puts himself in the wall. However, he's still able to stay in the race, he has got damage, and he tucks in behind me. Unfortunately, there's a few little, should we call them love taps here at this point, and they may seem kind of inconsequential, but what it does, it prevents me from being able to get on the throttle, and it enables him with dirty tires and damage to be close enough to pull off this move. I'm also not the biggest fan of that kind of overtake maneuver, so I mean, anyone can send it in deep enough, completely miss the apex and block the whole road. That's not really racecraft, okay? So it's not really giving the other guy room, and it's not really giving the other guy a chance to defend the position. The irony is that if Lewis had just been a little bit more patient and tucked in behind me, let the damage heal up, let the clean tyres repair, I recognise that Lewis is a faster driver than me. Sure, I'm closing the gap performance-wise to him, but I still recognise that he's faster than me, and if he had tucked in behind and then gone for a move into this corner, I wouldn't have defended it. And I would like to think that my videos and my driving on track demonstrates this to people. So feel a little bit of a need to make it clear that I'm not in the business of defending against faster drivers excessively for no reason. I'd rather not lose time. However, that move being what it was, with a few little love taps and then the send missing the apex, I guess Lewis kind of did me a favour because it put me into a little bit of a red mist state. Now, if you get too, let's say, angry while driving, it's going to affect your driving in a detrimental way. You're going to start driving really bad. But it put me into just enough of a red mist state that I was focused. And a little bit of anger can really focus you. So, no, it wasn't the worst move we've ever seen. But I can guarantee you that if that move was done to Lewis, he wouldn't be entirely happy about it either. So this put me in a focused state where all of a sudden I hit my flow state and the initial hiccups at the start of the race had gone, and I was now laser focused on not letting these guys get away from me. So I'm glad to report that DD's move on me there into the final turn was clean. I messed up that final chicane a little bit and he got a run at me, and I didn't defend it, okay? So even though I'm laser focused on not letting these guys get away from me, I'm also not going to be stupid about it. So they both run a little bit deep here, and I just felt like, maybe I'm wrong, but I just felt like they were both feeling the pressure a little bit more than me. And I put my hands up. I have been someone who has felt the pressure on many occasions. But I was in a flow state here where I did not feel like there was any realistic chance that I wasn't going to be able to stay with these guys. And it put me into a very different state of mind to what I'm normally in. So you've heard me talk so many times about how I'm naturally a passive driver who prefers not to fight people too much. I don't want to lose time. I'd rather work with people and fight at the end. That's my driving style. Digit's the same. That's not who I am in this race. From that moment onwards, I decided, screw this, we're racing. And the very first opportunity I get to go past one of these guys in front of me, I'm going to take it. And I made that decision from the moment that that move was put on me when Lewis had been into the wall. So here is that opportunity. DD tries to go right, Lewis goes left, and that leaves me a gap up the inside. DD goes deep, and then we pull off a nice move on DD, And again, I appreciate that he was clean there, so that's good. The strategy that I'm trying to look for here is I'm not going to let Lewis settle into his rhythm. Okay? So Lewis is traditionally a faster driver than me. He used to be a lot faster than me. Obviously, I'm getting on terms with these guys. Obviously, I'm getting closer to their level. And I feel like this race, I kind of had to throw down a marker to say, look guys, you don't have to like me, I don't have to like you, but we can still race clean with each other. And if you race clean with me, I'm going to race clean with you. I felt that it was important for myself as a milestone in my development as a driver to throw that marker down in this race and say, look guys, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. Let's race and let's be clean. Lewis again gets 4 wheels on the grass. That's 4 dirty tyres, and notice that I lifted off the throttle to give him room. Now I think there's a lot of drivers who wouldn't do that. They would say, you got dirty tyres, I'm coming through whether you like it or not. That gave Didi a run. It looked like he bumped draft Lewis right at the braking zone. Maybe I'm wrong there, I didn't check the replay that carefully. Weird decision. Lewis has got dirty tyres anyway. What I'm doing here is I'm keeping Lewis pinned to the inside. You've got to give a car's width, but you don't have to give more than a car's width, right? That's the rules. The reason I did that is because I knew if I opened up that corner, A, Lewis can get a better exit, and B, Didi was almost definitely going to send it on me. So I kept Lewis pinned to the wall, pinned to the side, and gave him enough room, but no more, in order to both defend and stay in touch with Lewis, and that worked well. Going on board with Didi here, there's another one of those little love taps. It looks like nothing, but it does send you offline, it prevents you from getting on the throttle, and it enables him to therefore be closer to me heading into this braking zone where he can now try and outbrake. Whoa, hold on. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, so wait, hold up. We're going to need to see this again. So now looking at this from my point of view, I know Didi's going for the move here. I know that was his whole plan. I'm not defending it. There's contact between me and Lewis. We'll talk about that in a minute. Didi hits Lewis. Didi then hits Mikael Hazal, and everyone's elbows out. Yeah, we're still going to need to look at that one more time, because I know the question you might be thinking to yourself is, are you absolutely sure that you didn't need to wait up there because you hit Lewis? Let's look at Lewis's steering inputs here. He sees Didi coming and opens up the steering and stays on the brake. And that's why I hit Lewis, and that's why I decided not to wait up for Lewis. But I hear you saying, are you absolutely sure about that, Luke? Well, let's look at the brake point. So look at that gap in the fence behind Lewis's car. That's where he's braking. So this is where I'm braking, that same gap in the fence. I'm braking about a car length earlier than Lewis, which is what you should do when you're in the slip. And this is Didi's brake point. The gap in the fence is now next to Mikael Hazal. So you can see there that Didi braked extremely late, and now going back on board with me, taking all of these factors into consideration, is why I chose at this point just to say, you know what, I'm out of here, see you guys later, deal with your own mess. And there we go. So P4 retained, Mikael Hazal benefited from that by taking 3 places, and we now find ourselves behind one of the greatest drivers to ever play this game. Sure, you don't need me to tell you who Mikael Hazal is, and I'm in 4th place with 3 laps to go. Lewis there saying well done, congratulations in chat. I'd be pretty annoyed if I was in his situation as well. I don't know who he thought was at blame, but hopefully he can see that now. Okay, so settling into the start of lap 6, Mikael Hazal in front of me. The race has obviously settled down, and so with me being able to trust both the drivers in front and behind me at this point in the race, normal service has resumed, so to speak. So I am now happy to just fall back into my natural driving style, my natural approach to these races, which is just to bide my time and be passive here and wait and see what happens. The first thing I wanted to see is, can I stay with Mikael Hazal? And I would probably have edited these last 3 laps to skip through them a little bit quicker. But it's not every day you get to race Mikael Hazal, and let alone race him, but actually be able to stay with him. Of course, I recognise that I am assisted here by the custom slipstream, and I'd be happy for that to go, even if it meant I couldn't stay with Mikael Hazal. I would really rather the custom slip go. Awesome swapper that Mikael got on there, nice save, really well controlled. Of course, you wouldn't expect anything else from him. So yeah, all I'm doing here is just trying to, for want of a better phrase, size up my ability to stay with Mikael and see what comes of it. So I did have a brief moment where I thought, did he change tyres? Did he maybe not change tyres? Because it started to feel like it was a little bit too easy to stay with him. But he did in fact change tyres, and the Silvia is in fact better on tyres than the Vantage. That's just the power of the custom slip. It makes you think you're a faster driver than you actually are. It makes you think that you're capable of staying with people that would normally be able to drop you. So yeah, that's just the power of the custom slip, really. Maybe the Silvia also isn't, I don't know, maybe it's not quite as fast as the Vantage over a lap, but Mikael Hazal can make up more than that difference when comparing his abilities to mine. So I wasn't initially planning to battle him here. I was just planning to stay with him and just try and see if anything came at the end of the race. The other thing you've got to take into consideration is that Mikael Hazal does not have a slipstream himself, so he's not being pulled along by the custom slip tow, and this is what can really fool you into thinking that you're fast enough to beat these guys, so to speak. But the truth is that if you do get in front, they're going to be all over you like a rash. So as we headed up here now on the penultimate lap, you can see that we're much closer at this point in the race. Obviously, because Mikael doesn't have a slipstream, we've been able to close in on him a little bit more. You can see that we've really got quite a lot of overspeed compared to Mikael, and we're really closing on him here. Normally what people are going to do in this situation is go left. I go right. I don't even flash the lights, I just go right to signal that I'm not going to attack, and Mikael Hazal read that with incredible race IQ and just flashed the hazard lights to say thank you for not attacking. So yeah, just the body language of the car. Didn't have to signal him in any other way that I wasn't going for a move. However, with the three of us are obviously together now, and those positions are fairly secured, but you can see there that we do have a couple of drivers still quite close behind Haug, so we can't afford to fight too much here. I admit at the time I didn't quite realise how close those guys were behind Haug. I thought that the three of us were more alone. That's just me not paying enough attention to my rearview mirror, if I'm honest with you. Because what was going through my mind at this moment was, look, I know this is the custom slipstream enabling me to keep up with Mikael Hazal, and I don't expect to beat him. I really don't expect to beat him, but you don't get too many opportunities to race a world champion, someone of his caliber, and you know that he's an exceptionally clean driver as well, so I know he's going to show me respect. So yeah, just nice to be able to race, actually try and race them. Spoiler alert, I do go for a move, I do decide to do it, but I don't do it with the expectation of actually trying to beat Mikael Hazal. So yeah, it's just going for it for the sake of racing, for the sake of enjoying the opportunity to race a world champion wheel to wheel, basically. So we're very close here. I'm looking to try and set myself up into turn 1. We're not quite close enough going into the final turn here. I'm looking to try and slipstream him and try and get through turn 1. I wasn't going for a move there, that's just a different line. So Mikael was going more for a late apex and I went for the single apex, the tighter line. The reason I did that is because if you have a slipstream this close, it keeps you in the slipstream tighter, and then the custom slip does the work. So we pulled out. Not the most committed overtake attempt that anyone ever did. Certainly could have braked a little bit later and gone in a little bit harder, but yeah, not exactly surprising that Mikael knows exactly where to place his car to retain the lead. I did think about going for it again, this time moving left rather than right and going for the inside, but Mikael went for the inside, so I went for the outside. Now I've got to defend against Haug, so I was obviously mindful of the drivers behind Haug. We don't have too much of a gap to them, so we can't keep fighting too much. And then Haug here makes my mind up for me. So he gives me a bump draft and then immediately moves over to the left to say, take your line, I'm not going to attack you. And then I thought, okay, you know what, you've had your fun, Luke. Haug's just told you that he doesn't want to race you anymore, and I think it would be fair if you offered Mikhail Hizal the same courtesy. So I just decided at this moment just to settle in to the last half a lap and not attack anyone and just bring home this P4. Clearly Haug was quite happy with 5th place as well. Obviously if we battle too much we can risk getting caught, and we don't want to do that. It's been a tumultuous race, an eventful race, had quite a few races that had incidents in them this week, again due to the custom slip, and got a bit frustrated because for a while there, between my own mistakes and other people's mistakes, I had a string of races where I was just getting a bit frustrated not being able to just have a good race. It's not so much am I finishing high, I'm not necessarily disappointed if I don't finish in the top 5, it's just I just want to be able to have a clean race, you know, and there had been a distinct lack of those this week. And once again, people's personal driving styles and aggression levels aside, the custom slip is perhaps the biggest issue there, that it just creates these situations that you saw earlier on. So as we head into the final turn, you can see the body language of Haug's car behind. He's settled for 5th place, he's not going for a move. So what I do here as we head towards the line on the finishing straight is I flash the hazards and I give the car a little bit of a wiggle just to say thank you to both drivers. And you can see there that Haug also flashes his lights to say thank you, good race. Nice to see yet another driver that I can trust on track. I like that. It's very good to be able to find those people. It makes your races so much better. So yeah, really good race. Obviously not so good in some parts, but turned out to be a good race finally. I do very much like this combination. I'd like to see it again, albeit without the custom slip. And thank you to the guys that raced me clean. I look forward to racing you again in future. Thank you once again to everyone for watching. I do appreciate the growth that you're giving my YouTube channel. A little bit overwhelmed with it. We'll be back again with another video next week. Take care. Bye bye.